Walt Disney executives thought that woke modern progressivism was the way to reinvent old Disney beloved classics. Boy, were they wrong.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
Let's address the elephant in the room. I'm the hottest person in the world.
The problem is conceited, mediocre, narcissistic young actresses who are so entitled and spoiled they don't even realize they're giving off Lord Farquaad far more than they're giving beautiful Snow White. Even Mark Platt's son had to take to Instagram saying this, "You really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP, with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie, for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract and get paid to do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of her colleagues and crew, and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged."
I'm a narcissist.
Rachel Zegler is having a full-blown tantrumatic meltdown, crying in her castle after Snow White not only bombed, it exploded at the box office and landed directly on her egotistical little head.
I'm a narcissist.
And she deserves every last bit of criticism and backlash, since she single-handedly cost the movie over $300 million.
It's Hollywood, baby. If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed on.
And then there is the extraordinary way with her mindless self-indulgence. She was able to isolate and ignore the 10 fans that did show up to support her.
Congratulations on all the success too, Rachel.
Sir.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Rachel, you got time to sign some autographs for us, Rachel? Rachel, please. Rachel, you got time to sign some, Rachel? Hey, you on the way out?
The only person in Hollywood who has come to Rachel's defense is Halle Bailey, but not after first having faced her own criticism and backlash, having played Ariel in the live-action remake of Disney's The Little Mermaid. Some people have speculated that both are contractually obligated by Disney to help promote other live-action films, and we see here that she posted this on X, which still didn't get the retweets or the likes to even help Rachel. Rachel Zegler may have played Snow White, but the only thing this movie is kissing is rock bottom. It made only $3.5 million in Thursday reviews and only $43 million on opening weekend. Woke Snow White is not just a disastrous flop, it's an expensive one. The Little Mermaid grossed $95 million on opening weekend, and so did Dumbo, which had a much smaller budget. However, Snow White cost over $250 million for Disney to make. Snow White not only flopped, it completely tanked. People took to social media to show how their theaters aren't selling tickets at all. Of course, the internet never skips a beat, nor does it miss an opportunity to make a joke. Die-hard Disney fans created a GoFundMe to help Walt Disney collect all of their losses on this film. A thought so horrifying that Walt Disney himself would be rolling, tossing and turning in his cryogenically frozen grave. At this point, it is safe to say that Rachel Zegler is the whole problem. Walt Disney made a bet on her, and unfortunately for them, this time it didn't pay off.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Fast forwarding back to reality, the only people waiting in line to see Snow White or Rachel Zegler in anything is content creators and the internet waiting to roast her once again. One internet user put it very bluntly, "Welcome back to reality, princess. Snow White was a complete flop." And Ian Miles Chong also reminded Rachel Zegler that this was Disney's lowest grossing film ever.
This is really a bad movie, and I apologize to Walt Disney himself. I'm sorry.
Snow White as a film wasn't the only thing crashing and burning, so was Rachel Zegler's relationship with her co-star Gal Gadot. Variety dropped a bombshell report pulling back the curtain on all the chaos and bad decisions in Disney's latest disaster. And spoiler alert, Rachel Zegler was at the center of it all. After attending Disney's D23 event, Rachel Zegler would take to X to say this political statement, "And always remember, free Palestine." Gal Gadot publicly not only had to wash her hands of Rachel Zegler, she had to take a step back from being associated with the film. If you don't know, Gal Gadot is an Israeli actress who served in the Israeli Defense Forces. She is a married mother of 4. As a 39-year-old actress with her own production company, Gal Gadot understands that this would be a career suicide for her to be publicly involved with Rachel Zegler.
Behind the scenes, you guys know as well as I do that those executives like Spielberg are looking at that saying, Rachel Zegler can F right off.
One user said on the internet, "In what world would Gal Gadot ever be jealous of Rachel Zegler?" And another stated this: "Disney really needs to stop using sloth-looking, wide-spaced-eyed, large 5-finger forehead with a dirty witch mole on the face type actresses." Gal Gadot is not only classy and graceful, she is an extremely beautiful woman and actress. The two awkwardly presented together at the 2025 Oscars, where Rachel's clunky walk highlighted Gal Gadot's grace and humility. After the ceremony, Zegler threw a grimy backhanded jab at Gadot when she called her a professional pageant queen in an Instagram reply. The internet clocked her as shady, and Disney insiders said that it felt dismissive and jealous because Rachel could never be Gal Gadot. And the controversy with Rachel Zegler is far from over. Rachel Zegler has proven herself to be undeserving of every opportunity she has been granted. She not only trashed the original Snow White, she went on to say this about voters, specifically conservative ones.
"May Trump supporters never know peace."
But Rachel Zegler wouldn't stop there. On March 20th, 2025, she would post this on Instagram right before Snow White would limp its sad little way into empty theaters. That the movie was a life-changing experience for her, and after working 3 summers in London, filming and reshooting problematic scenes, that she was grateful for the opportunity. However, this included a very glaring omission, and that was her senior, more experienced co-star, Gal Gadot, who honestly at this point would have done a hell of a lot better playing Snow White than Rachel Zegler herself did.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have.
That's very hard to believe when she took every opportunity to drag her high school friends to an empty theater to watch her watch herself in the film.
Please?
For which movie?
When you thought it couldn't get any more pathetic and tragic, Rachel Zegler not only shows up to an empty theater, she actually has the audacity to make it worse. When she sees her name appear on the screen, she starts clapping for herself. A sympathetic, self-congratulatory applause in surround sound silence.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
The internet wasted no time in clowning Rachel Zegler. The box office numbers were not only bad, they were apocalyptic.
Because this woman is a pig, and you fired Gina Carano for far less than this nonsense.
The film only grossed $3.5 million in Thursday previews, only $42 million on opening weekend, $66.8 million domestically, and only $143 million internationally. And that's the numbers as of today.
Why don't people like Rachel Zegler? One of the reasons is her outspoken comments on topics that some audiences found controversial.
Disney executives are scrambling. They spent over $270 million to bring this dumpster fire to life.
Snow White, budget $250 million, box office $43 million. Oh, but it's only been 2 days, give it a chance. No, I'm not gonna give it a chance. I don't f***ing know. I'm not even gonna talk about this. People are like, oh wow, Snow White flopped. Who is surprised? You cast arguably the least genuine, most out of touch and disliked person in her industry, and her industry is Hollywood. And the bad guy is Gal Gadot.
Rachel Zegler responds to Snow White backlash and claims that her remarks were just taken out of context.
And the icing on this shit cake is not just Rachel Zegler herself. It's the fact that Disney executives spent $170 million on marketing the film Snow White. And this little brat couldn't even be bothered to rewatch the original version, publicly trashing the original every opportunity she could in the media and in interviews, going as far as saying that the prince is a stalker. She would further state, "So we didn't do that this time." Rachel Zegler herself would miss the point completely when she insinuated that Disney has to go with the woke modern progressivism, because if they don't, people won't line up to see it, despite the fact that simultaneously she made a video and posted it to her Instagram account saying that despite her breaks, her flaws, and her cracks, which there are many of, people will still show up to a premiere in anything she does despite her critics. I mean, talk about tone deaf and not being able to read the room, or in this case, an empty theater.
We've seen the audience scores, one of the worst ratings we've seen in history on IMDb, with Snow White sitting at a 1.5 out of 10.
The character of Snow White went right over Rachel Zegler's head like a lead balloon. Elle Fanning, who played Aurora in Disney's Maleficent and sequel, had said it perfectly when she said this.
I think a lot of Disney films also, when the sequel comes, they expect the princess to then like be in armor and have a sword and fight, and like, oh, that makes her strong, and you know, of course there are princesses that it's necessary, like Mulan. She's a fighter, that's in her DNA, and Aurora is a fighter, but in a different way. I think there's a strength in her femininity and softness, and there's nothing wrong with her wanting to be a mother and be married, and
this is the point that Rachel Zegler is missing completely.
There's a beauty in that, and that is still strong. So it's nice to represent that, you know, kind of woman.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Being a soft, kind, young, innocent, feminine female is okay.
This is really a bad movie.
One user said on the internet that women save themselves every day. I have saved myself every day for years. I want the fairy tale. I don't want to save myself. I want to see that love is possible, that somebody can get the Prince Charming and win her kingdom, and that she can live happily ever after. Another user said, there is something so sensual and intimate about a woman meeting her prince and being submissive to him. Traditional gender roles aren't outdated. It doesn't make Snow White any less modern or deserving of becoming queen. It is, in fact, exactly what we need. God-fearing, loving, kind, humble, generous. These are all attributes we should all aspire to. In the original Snow White, she saves the 7 dwarfs with her love and kindness and gentle femininity, and in return, the kind, gentle, masculine prince saves her, showing that through her innate characteristics and good heart, that Snow White is deserving of being queen. She's not just entitled to, but deserving of her kingdom and her prince. Another user said on TikTok, "Please save me. If I'm Snow White, I want to be saved. Please rescue me. Bring me to your castle. Love me. Spoil me. Let me live the rest of my life not having to save myself, because I've done it already so much." This is a critical part of Snow White as a character that Rachel Zegler just could not comprehend. The same way she failed to understand that as an actor with extreme liberal political views, it is extremely bad for business to put that on social media and to speak about it publicly. Disney insiders said that executives were spinning. Rachel Zegler single-handedly isolated over half of the potential fan base for the film. And if you think it couldn't get any worse, oh wait, it does. The second week after opening, Snow White had a 66.4% drop in ticket sales. This film did not just crash and burn. This film isn't just the dumpster fire that is woke Snow White. This film is dead on arrival. Critical care, life support, and resuscitation are no longer possible. It is a done deal. Rachel Zegler is officially a liability to Disney as a brand. Disney should have made at least $750 million, if not more, from this film. And at this point, their best option is to pull it completely and remake it with a new actress. But after spending $270 million on making and reworking the film and spending over 3 years doing that, scaling back the entire premiere and making it much smaller, the film still went ahead.
Our reproductive rights. Come on. Go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
The only wish I'm wishing is that Walt Disney as a company uses their magic mirror to peer into the future and never take another bite out of the poisoned apple that is Rachel Zegler. Walt Disney placed a bet on Rachel Zegler, and unfortunately, they lost. They would have been better off spending another $250 million to completely redo the movie in hopes that they would have grossed nearly $1 billion on a better version and completely scrapped the Rachel Zegler version. But they took a chance and they put it out anyway, and it's now estimated that they will be recouping their losses for the next 10 films.
Is somebody gonna match my freak? Literally anybody.
How embarrassing. Even Disney is copyright striking Rachel Zegler. Yeah, that's right. On her X account, you can see that she was copyright stricken and had her material taken down for using a sound, "Whistle While You Were," with a clip of her own appearance at the D23 Expo. Even Disney themselves are clocking Rachel Zegler. And that's it, folks. It's a wrap for her.
I mean, it's been under wraps for so long, so it's really exciting to get to share any kind of look with an audience that cares so much. It's been really, really amazing. Yeah, as a diehard Disney fan myself, who I feel like I see every release and opening weekend, it's like getting to show it to your best friends in a way that you're just like, you won't believe what we did. And so it's been really, really amazing to get to hear their live reactions too. It's just such an instant gratification that what we made is cared about so much, and that's a really wonderful thing.
Despite crisis PR management and media training, Rachel Zegler still single-handedly managed to flop an entire franchise. Nobody is matching her freak, and nobody is buying a seat. Disney's only hope now is closing this book forever. And don't forget to subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and share.